How do we know the parties have intention to create legal relation? How do we know? Macam mana kita tahu the parties have the intention to create legal relation?
Dia jumpa dengan ejen.
Okay, again, if you refer to this topic, how do we know? Because based on the type of insurance, based on the type of contract that we entered, whether the type of contract is domestic, as a social agreement, or business or commercial agreement. So since the insurance contract ni is nothing related with family or domestic agreement, so we can presume that it is a part of commercial agreement lah. Sebab tu since it is under the commercial agreement, so we presume that the parties have the intention to create legal relation when they entered into an agreement tu. Okay, ada apa-apa soalan tentang ni? Clear kot? Dah belajar kan tentang kontrak? Okay, then dalam insurance juga there is a condition and warranties. Condition is something syarat lah, syarat kan, syarat ataupun clause which amount. Okay, maksudnya dalam polisi ni ada clauses kan, ada banyak clause, dan dalam ada terms lah, terms, and dalam terms tu ada condition and warranties. Okay, so sama je yang kita dah baca before this. A breach of condition will give an accused in policy give party an excuse for non-performance, kan? Maksudnya kita juga boleh pilih sama ada to repudiate the contract ataupun macam mana, maksudnya kita nak batalkan kontrak tu ataupun kita bersetuju lah for the breach tu. Okay, sebab tu it's important for us to read carefully all the terms and condition yang ada dalam ataupun all the clause yang ada dalam polisi tu, because sometimes there are exemption clause for which the insurance company will exempt themselves from any liabilities. Contoh dalam tu dia dah sebut dah syarikat tidak akan bertanggungan untuk memberikan contohlah untuk coverage pada penyakit A, B, C, D lah contohlah kan. Tapi kita tak baca kan. So and then bila kita terkena penyakit tu, when we want to get a coverage from the company, so company have the right not to pay lah kan. So masa tu sebab tu sometimes ramai orang kata insurance ataupun takaful company ni menipu kan. Tapi sebenarnya there are certain situation for which the policy holder themselves, they did not careful with the terms and policy lah yang dia subscribe to. Okay. Principle of insurance, basically these are, okay, dia kata kat sini are not subject to general principle, but they are also subject to certain specific legal principle. Okay, so these are the principle of insurance. Ada berapa ni? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Saya tak pergi semua kan. Yang the rest tu I leave it to you for you to read. So saya nak pergi sikit-sikit je, contoh macam indemnity ni tadi faham kot. Indemnity okay, dia kata kat sini contract of insurance is normally construed as a contract of indemnity. One of the principle of insurance is that the insured should recover no more than his loss, but it may be modified by the express term of the policy. This is to prevent the insured from obtaining unjust enrichment from the insurance policy. For example, if an insured with 100,000 for a policy covering a house worth 80,000 subject during the policy term, nothing will be paid if the house is destroyed by fire because no loss is suffered by the insured. If the house is destroyed by fire before it is sold, the insured can collect only 80,000 because that is the amount of loss. Okay, maksudnya apa? Kita nak elakkan supaya insurans ini digunakan sebagai sebagai apa? Sebagai salah satu peluang lah for apa? Some people dia ambil insurance sebagai macam gambling lah sebenarnya kan. Macam tapi nanti kita akan belajar tentang the differences between insurance and takaful kan, for which dan if dalam takaful kan basically we should not enter into any transaction with involve element of gambling, element of uncertainty, and as well as element of riba. So dalam insurance basically these three elements are easily exist lah dalam insurance. Ada orang dia ambil insurance macam untuk tadilah, untuk dia nak gambling kan, ataupun dia untuk dia dia baru bayar sikit and then bila suffer loss so dia dapat lebih lah. So kalau kat sini dia kata contract of insurance ni dikenali sebagai contract of indemnity for which the insured should recover no more than his loss kan. Untuk prevent the insured untuk mendapatkan unjust enrichment from the insurance policy. Okay. Rumah dia contoh berharga 80,000 kan. Tapi dia insured, dia punya polisi 100,000. So dekat sini kata nothing will be paid if the house is destroyed by fire because no loss is suffered by the insured. But if the house is destroyed by fire before it is sold, ini macam dalam case, okay. If the house is destroyed by fire before it is sold, the insured can collect only 80,000 because that is the amount of the loss. Faham tak? Dia insured tadi saya salah sikit. If an insured with 100,000 fire policy covering a house, dia jual, maksudnya dia punya fire policy 100,000. Rumah tu berharga 80,000 dan dia jual rumah tadi during the policy term kan. So bila dia jual rumah tu pada waktu policy term tadi, maksudnya rumah yang di insurance kan tadi, company tak akan bayar apa-apa sebab rumah tadi tak destroyed by fire pun. Dia yang jual rumah tu kan. Rumah tu takkan maksudnya dia takkan dapat apa-apa coverage pun sebab no loss is suffered by the insured. Tapi if the house is destroyed by the fire before it is sold, so the insured can collect only 80,000 because that is the amount of the loss. Okay, boleh Maksudnya indemnify kat sini maksudnya dia kalau dia rugi, suffer loss baru dia boleh dapat. Kalau tak suffer loss, dia takkan dapat. So yang ini juga berkaitan dengan insurable interest lah. For which insurable interest is the legal right to insure or cover arising from the legitimate financial interest. Okay, yang ni maksudnya the company is only obliged to pay the coverage to the person who have insurable interest. hanya kepada orang yang mempunyai insurable interest sahaja. Apa? Interest tu adalah the policy holder himself lah kan. Uh, Bukan contohlah kalau rumah tu A, dia ada fire policy untuk rumah dia. And then satu hari rumah dia terbakar, affect rumah B, boleh tak B ni claim for the loss sebab rumah dia pun terbakar? So the answer is no, because B do not have any insurable interest. Kan? Yang ada insurable interest adalah A. So the company is hanya akan bayar kepada A sahaja, not to B, walaupun rumah B juga affected because B do not have any insurable interest. Saya laju-laju lah. Okay, then utmost good faith ni adalah jujur dengan suci hati kan. We need to disclose all information which would influence either party's decision kan. We need to, because dalam insurance contract kan, insurance dengan takaful ni, the relationship is based on mutual trust and confidence kan. So we need to disclose all the material information. Failure to disclose give the right the party to treat the contract as void. Boleh. So kalau dia pernah ada masuk hospital, pernah ada medical history, and then ada penyakit ataupun penyakit keturunan or anything kan, we need to disclose kan. Kita kena buat declaration form before kita subscribe tu. Kita kena bagi tahu kan kita punya medical history, merokok ke tak merokok ke, semua tu will influence the amount lah yang kita kena bayar kepada company tu. So there are certain situation whereby the policy holder, they did not disclose all the material fact, and so bila macam tu dia amounting to fraud sebenarnya. If you still remember last time you already learn about fraud tu fraud apa? Fraud jelah tipu kan. So there are one principle in fraud for which silent does not amounting to fraud. Maksudnya berdiam diri tidak menipu. You want to buy something kan, you need to ask, you need to check, you need to examine carefully the goods that you want to buy. So the seller themselves and orang yang menjual ni, they do not have any obligation to explain to you ataupun untuk bagi tahulah kan, unless if you ask from them. So masa tu lah baru dia kena bagi tahu kan. Tapi kalau kita tak tanya, dia orang tak ada obligation untuk disclose. Sebab tu silence does not amounting to fraud. However, if let's say you have a duty to speak kan, ada duty to speak maksudnya you memang kena bagi tahu, kena cakap macam dalam kes ni insurance contract kan. You need to disclose all the material fact but you keep it silent. So this amounting to fraud. Faham Boleh? Boleh tak?
Boleh Dadah, boleh.
Okay, thank you Adib, thank you Anis. Okay, thank you. Okay, so what are the material fact? Material fact ni fakta yang penting lah kan, yang mana fakta tadi yang akan mempengaruhi the insurer or underwriter in deciding whether to accept the risk or the premium to be charged. Macam saya sebut tadi itulah about dia punya medical history ke, dia punya physical health ke, semua itulah. Okay, so yang lain tu you all boleh baca by your own, insyaAllah. Okay, then saya terus masuk dekat takaful. Okay, apa beza takaful dengan insurance ni? Hari ni saya puasa tau, so macam agak betis. Apa beza dari takaful dengan insurance? Apa yang, anyone can share with me apa yang you all faham? Beza takaful dengan insurance. Islamic and conventional. Okay. Ya. Betul. Ialah satu conventional, satu Islamic. Nampak macam sama, tapi sebenarnya ianya berbeza. Contoh what are the differences between makan ayam yang disembelih dengan ayam yang tak sembelih? Ada beza tak?
Ada
Apa beza dia?
kaedah pelaksanaan.
Kaedah pelaksanaan. Kaedah pelaksanaan itulah yang membezakan one is halal and one is haram. Betul?
Betul?
Kan? Okay, then what are the differences between a married couple dengan non-married couple? Both of them, contohlah rumah A ada satu pasangan kan. Ada there is a spouse in house A kan. Lepas tu dekat sebelah pun ada lagi spouse satu lagi. So dua-dua dapat anak kan. So what are the differences between them? The relationship between them. Satu kita kata tadi satu married, satu not married kan. And then ya, sendiri soalan sendiri jawab tak apalah. Maksudnya the differences is yang kahwin tu halal, the relationship is halal. Yang tak kahwin tu the relationship is not halal or illegal relationship kan. So kalau kita tengok kita kenapa saya dengar macam ada orang kata trial version. So kalau ikutkan kita tengok macam sama je. Kalau di rumah A ni dia dengan pasangan dia kalau commit sexual intercourse dapat anak, and then kalau dekat rumah dekat B pun dia if they are having a sexual intercourse and then dapat anak juga. Tapi the differences between them are apa? Satu berkahwin, satu tak berkahwin. Berkahwin tu kita panggil apa? The marriage is itself kita panggil marriage contract kan. So the differences between them is a marriage contract. Marriage contract kan. So kalau this couple ada marriage contract, so that's why kita kata the relationship is halal. But this couple they do not have any marriage contract, that's why the relationship is illegal. Kan. So nampak So maksudnya the differences between them are contract lah. Contract tu yang membezakan. Okay, sama juga dalam conventional banking dengan Islamic banking. Apa beza dia? Orang akan mudah normally people akan kata conventional banking is apa tadi? Is Allahumma salli ala Muhammad. Conventional banking menggunakan ada interest. Tapi Islamic banking dia tak guna interest tapi guna profit. So ramai yang berpegang lah. The differences between these two is only a terms kan. But then the truth is the differences between conventional banking and Islamic banking is not a terms that used in the banking itself, but then the differences is based on contract yang one is permissible and one is not permissible, ataupun one is syariah compliant and one is not syariah compliant. Kenapa? Sebab dalam conventional banking The contract that they use is the contract apa? What type of contract used in the conventional banking? The contract of loan. Kan? If you want to sebab tu kita ada housing loan, kita ada car loan, kita ada personal loan, semua loan tu. And if you borrow certain amount from bank, if you got loan kan, contoh 100,000, so you need to pay 200,000 for example. So the extra is considered as the interest lah kan, sebab dalam loan dalam Islam, if you borrow RM10, saya bagi contoh yang kecil, RM10 you need only to pay RM10, so you cannot charge extra. So itu yang dipanggil benevolent loan. So dalam Islam, if you want to borrow something, contoh kita pinjam 10, we need only to pay RM10. Kita tak boleh bayar lebih. Sebab kalau lebih itu yang dipanggil sebagai riba ataupun interest lah. Tapi dekat Islamic banking, they didn't use the contract of loan. Kan, dia tak guna contract loan. What kind of contract that they use? Dia menggunakan contract of apa? Dia guna kontrak apa? Cepat. Yes, jual beli. Sales. Dia guna contract of sale. Sebab tu, if you see dalam Islamic banking, there are a lot of sales contract. Sebab tu kita ada bank Bisaman Ajil, bank Al-Ina, apa lagi? Bank Tawaruk, apa lagi? Semua yang jenis baik tu kan. For those yang non-Muslim faham kot. Baik itu maksudnya jual, kontrak jualan, kontrak jual, deferred payment sale, and then what else, ada tawaruk kan, semuanya menggunakan kontrak sale. So bila when they are use the contract of sale, bila kita jual something, we are allowed to have macam mana, we are permissible to sell more than the principal amount lah. Sebab tu the lebihan is itu bukan dikatakan sebagai interest, but then the lebihan is considered as a profit because the contract that they use is sales contract, not loan contract. Faham tak? Okay, so panjang saya punya explanation dekat sini. Dalam takaful, okay, dah nampak kan? Kebanyakan dalam situasi ni, the differences between relationship yang saya cakap tadi, satu tentang adalah kontrak. Kontrak yang membezakan antara syariah compliant dengan non-syariah compliant. Sama lah juga dalam takaful dengan insurance. So, dalam takaful, the contract that they use are, ni panjang-panjang ni, nanti bacalah. The contract that used in the takaful is unilateral contract. Unilateral contract. Maksudnya only one way. Okay. Kalau kita tengokkan objektif of takaful pun sama je, untuk prevent principle of harm kan, ataupun prevention kan, untuk remove hardship semua tu. Yang ni you all bacalah. Okay, so the differences between takaful dengan conventional is basically the type of contract that used lah. Because dalam takaful, if you refer to the definition of takaful, it means joint guarantee, shared responsibility, collective assurance, mutual help kan. So bila kita tolong orang, do we expect them to return to us anything? Tak ada kan. Kita tolong orang normally ikhlas lah kan. We didn't expect for any return or for any reward lah, except from our God lah. Okay, so sama juga bila dalam takaful ni, the contract that you use, contoh kalau macam sekarang ni, these are the ada kita panggil apa policy holder, bila dia bayar premium kepada takaful company, dia bayar in his mind. Basically dia kena ingat the contract that that he entered is a takaful contract, for which dalam takaful contract it is based on the concept of ta'awun, kan, tolong menolong satu sama lain, kan. So duit yang dimasukkan tadi, dia akan masuk kat dalam satu pool, dipanggil apa dipanggil pool tabaruk fund, macam itulah, kan, tabaruk fund maksudnya tabung donation, kan. Tabaruk ni maksudnya donation, tabaruk fund. So daripada tabaruk fund ni, kalau semua masuk, so dekat sini lah dia akan poolkan duit untuk untuk to help the misfortunate few, kan. Maksudnya dalam konsep takaful, takaful is a unilateral contract for which it is based on the concept of ta'awun, takaful, kan, dan tabaruk tadi. So it is dia encourage a mutual assistance lah. So bila kita bayar, kan, the company do not have any obligation untuk return back kepada kita anything, kan, sebab kita bayar tadi based on donation, kan, based on tabaruk. So company tak ada tertanggungjawab untuk protect lah, kan. Okay, so tapi nowadays, kan, macam mana company nak encourage ramai-ramai untuk masuk dalam polisi tadi, kan. So dengan cara dia buatlah model macam sebab tu kalau kita tengok there are a few types of takaful model sekarang, kan. Ada yang menggunakan konsep investment, contoh macam ni, kan, macam ni. Yang ni kita tengok dia menggunakan konsep mudarabah, investment model, for which the participant dia pay a premium, kan, dia bayar premium, so akan dimasukkan dalam takaful fund. So daripada sinilah dia akan split into saving account dan into tabaruk ni yang dia akan gunakan for any claims or any management expenses or takaful. Yang saving lah, kan, account saving. Maksudnya sekarang ni the company biasanya dia akan offer lah something untuk menggalakkan orang untuk subscribe the policy, kan. One of it is saving lah, saving dengan investment. So daripada sinilah dia akan invest, so dia boleh dapat profit, dia akan dapat balik kepada participant, and then profit juga akan dikongsi sekali dengan takaful company. Okay, faham tak? Tapi dalam dan kalau kita tengok model yang lain, yang ni dia gunakan konsep ni mudarabah juga. Mudarabah. Ada lagi satu model tu menggunakan model wakalah. Okay. So just want to highlight to you. So the differences between the two is kalau kita tengok kat sini, takaful is a tabaruk contract. Tabaruk, kan, maksudnya contract to donation, one way, unilateral contract. Itulah ni. Tapi kalau conventional it's a contract of exchange. Exchange tu maksudnya bilateral contract lah. Maksudnya ada dua pihak. Okay, faham tak? Boleh
Boleh, doktor.
Okay. Okay, thank you. So, and then yang penting dalam takaful ni, you kena ingat tentang kenapa, okay, satu tentang history ni, you need to know what are the history, kan. These are the history of takaful, for which dulu there is a man from the ancient Arab tribal ni, dia kena bayar blood money tapi dia tak ada duit, kan. yang ni dia nak macam mana saya nak tanya Okey, yang ni tentang Islamic criminal law lah dalam Islam. Saya share sikit Saya share sikit So dalam Islam kita ada hudud, kisas dengan ta'zir. These are the punishment ataupun dalam Islamic criminal law. Hudud is something yang ada dalam there is specific legislation tentang these offences. If you commit this offence, you can these are the punishment kan. Okay. Tapi ada lagi satu kisas. Kisas ni basically is related to hukukul ibad. Apa dalam bahasa Melayu hukukul ibad ni? Hak manusia. Tiba-tiba dah tak jumpa bahasa Melayu. Okay, kalau hudud is related to hak Allah lah. Tapi kalau dalam kisas is related to hak-hak manusia. Contoh, an eye for an eye. Kan, mata dengan mata kan. And then bunuh dengan bunuh. Contoh macam tu kan. So, and then if let's say someone kill another person, so the punishment is apa? Bunuh lawan bunuh lah kan. So tapi there are certain situation, there are exception for which if let's say the family of the victims dia minta diat kan. Dia minta blood money sebagai ganti kepada bunuh tadi kan. Diat ni biasanya 100 ekor unta lah kan. So the murderer tadi is excuse lah 100 ekor unta. So dia excuse lah from being murdered lah, from being killed. So dalam this situation, maksudnya there is the man they need to pay the blood money, but they do not have enough money to pay the diat lah yang 100 ekor unta tu. So the tribes dia punya kaum-kaum dalam dia punya tribes lah kan. So dia buat collection kan, dia buat collection to rescue. So dalam kes ni dia berlaku accidental killing lah. Accidental killing kan. So dia apa nama tadi? Dia collect money to help dia untuk lepaskan lah daripada punishment daripada tadi itulah, daripada kena bunuh kan. So dia kena bayar diat and then dia help so this ni lah it was motivated by the sense of brotherhood and mutual responsibility to help fellow members who were in need of contribution. Macam tu lah. So dalam kes kita sekarang kita ada khairat fund kan. Okay, so this are the history lah basically. And then sekarang ni kita dah ada modern practice of takaful. Yang kalau macam dulu dia bantu untuk diat, tapi macam sekarang ni untuk medical lah, untuk apa lagi tadi? Untuk accident. So dalam takaful there is no element of uncertainty, gharar and gambling as compared then insurance. Sebab dalam insurance, kenapa there is a fatwa ataupun there is a legal ruling claim that insurance is haram because of insurance first dia insured for something uncertainty. Contohnya macam life lah. Dia guarantee for something uncertainty kan, protection against loss. Contoh macam mati kan, kematian, life insurance tadi. Everyone will face the death kan, semua orang akan mati. How we can guarantee the life kan? Sebab kalau guarantee ni something that we can get back, sedangkan kematian tu is something that we cannot get back lah. So kan you remember dalam insurance kan dia exchange kan, kita bayar something kita dapat something kan. So that's why subject matter yang di-insuredkan itu adalah sesuatu yang uncertainty, yang dijaminkan tu adalah sesuatu perkara yang tak pasti. Contoh kalau kebakaran kan, terbakar ke tak terbakar pun kita tak pasti lagi kan. Accident tak accident kita tak tahu kan. So how we can guarantee for something under uncertainty. Faham tak? Sebab tu dia haram. Sebab we cannot guarantee something which uncertainty kan. Kita tak boleh menjual beli terhadap sesuatu yang uncertain. Tapi kalau dalam takaful, the contract that they use is not a contract of jual beli kan, ataupun bilateral contract. The contract that they use is a contract of unilateral contract, donation. Kita bayar tu, kita bukan expect for any reward or any return pun. Kita bayar untuk donation kan. So kalau berlaku ke tak berlaku ke, it's okay kan, sebab we got the pahala, we got the profit, the ganjaran from Allah, and then there is nothing wrong lah. Faham tak?
Faham doktor.
Okay, thank you. Sama juga kalau macam apa tadi, ada elemen of riba kan. Riba maksudnya bila riba ni macam gambling Gambling ni macam kita bayar setahun, tiba-tiba kita dah boleh claim banyak kan. Kita baru bayar 100, kita dapat balik balasan dalam 100,000 contoh kan. So itu one of the way lah yang menunjukkan ada element of gambling dalam insurance. Tapi kalau dalam takaful, dalam takaful kenapa tak ada gambling? Sebab tadilah kontrak tadi kan. Kontrak tu dia bukan satu kontrak jaminan, dia kontrak donation. Cuma kita akan dapat juga protection tu sebab maksudnya protection yang kita dapat itu adalah sub element lah. Macam kita panggil apa ya? The benefit lah, the benefit. Bila kita donate, kita dapat something macam tu. Tapi kalau insurance dia memang jaminan kan. Kita bayar premium tu sebagai untuk protection for apa-apalah, for certain loss. Okay? I think that's all je kan yang penting. Saya akan buka. Semalam saya buat apa dengan diorang? Saya suruh diorang submit my map rasanya. My map for this topic. So I will do the same for you. So I will create the link for you to submit the notes, the my map notes for takaful and insurance. Okay, boleh eh? So if you do not have any other question, we can end our class, and then bolehlah you continue your own further reading
Betul.
with regard to this topic. Yeah.
Yang my map tu submit last bila? Due date dia?
Bila-bila lah. Biasanya saya buka seminggu kan.
Oh, okay. Thanks, madam.
Kenapa saya suka buat my map ni? Semalam pun saya explain to the student in group E, because I got a feedback from previous student lah. Actually setiap semester, almost every semester I got this feedback, for which the student said that the mind map is really helpful for them to understand kan. Sebab kenapa kita kena buat mind map? Because normally, yalah, in my case lah, kalau saya memang suka menggunakan mind map. Biasanya sebelum saya buat mind map tu, saya kena baca berkali-kali. First, I will read at glance kan. Saya akan baca sekali lalu, glance through all the element, all the important point dalam nota tu, and then baru saya buat sketch, structure sikit-sikit, keluarkan sikit-sikit, sampailah akhirnya I can get the best note lah. So maksudnya few stages lah bila nak buat mind map tu, daripada panjang sampai ke pendek dan sampai ke ringkas. And the last one tu yang saya akan gunakan untuk for me to revise, to do a revision during the final exam. So no, jarang lah saya nak kena buka balik nota yang panjang-panjang tu. So lagi satu, my purpose is kenapa buat mind map tadi lah, for you, I want you to read the notes and then do the same lah. Maksudnya you ringkaskan nota tu, sebab kalau nak buat mind map ni takkanlah you nak kena salin bulat-bulat kan. So you need to summarize. So in order for you to summarize, you need to read. That's why I prefer to give a task for student to do the mind map. Unless kalau you all main copy paste daripada kawan-kawan, so that one defeat the purpose lah. So better for you to read and do your own mind map notes, sebab it's only kita je lah yang faham point-point tu kan. Me myself, if I read other notes, saya pun tak faham apa yang dia nak cakap kan. So that's why that is the thing lah yang you all kena kena buat kan. Okay, boleh. So thank you for your attendance, thank you for your participation. Okay, sekarang dah pukul 4 dah pun. Saya pun dah rasa bateri saya dah low ni. Puasa-puasa ni. Alasan. Okay, sorry. Okay, then I think that's all for today. Thank you.
Thank you,
Thank you,
Doktor.
Doktor. Thank you, Doktor.
Thank you.
Sir.
Thank you, Doktor.
Okay, thank you. Bye.
Selamat berpuasa, Doktor. Selamat berbuka.
Yeah, today is the last day. Okay, bye.